Hi, team. Welcome to the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Coming up, we dive into the world of player-made events. But first, a couple bits of SWTOR news and a shout-out to our guild Alea Yacht Est on Jedi Covenant. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 127, who will soon sally forth as an intrepid adventurer in his trusty vessel of exploration. Yes, that was RP speak for you're getting in this escape pod. With me, as always, is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
It's going great, but I think actual RPers are probably groaning if they heard you say that.
Forsooth, young Jedi, hail and well met and whatnot.
Yeah, we are expert RPers, aren't we?
Yeah, we will talk about that in detail.
Yes, well, we're going to talk about events. But yeah, my week was a good week. I had my normal like SWTOR shenanigans. On Tuesday night we did a mandatory fun night as we always do, but we had to do it without Mac, so we were very sad about that for you know a short time. And then we went and we put in a few good attempts on the ILS, but we didn't have enough people. We went in with 16 man and we had 12 people, I think, and it was pretty evident we were not going to get him down. So we came up with Plan B, and we went up to the surface and we did the world boss up there for the event 3 or 4 times. So I was surprised we found him up that many times. So that was really a lot of fun. And then we killed defenses, so we got a lot of conquest points that night. In fact, almost all conquest points. I think I had to do like craft one thing and then I was done with conquest for the week just from MFN. Then in our ops team, we did go and do the ILS, and then we went and tried the first boss in Scum and Villainy on hard mode and succeeded with that. It was not too bad really. And then we went and took a few attempts on Titan 6, but by then it was our bedtime because we have a hard stop at 11 Eastern, and we respect that because of people working and other commitments. So Titan 6 is actually one of my favorite fights, so I was happy to visit it again. And yeah, just other fun things on Monday of that last week. I got to run with Soldiers of Light again. I always like to play on the pub side because I get to play my Scoundrel, which I am not very good at, but I do like because of the stealth thing. And yeah, it was a good week. And I know you were not there for Mandatory Fun Night for a reason. So how was your week, Max?
It was good. I was in the newest of Yorks, not the old York. I was in New York for a work conference, the National Retail Federation Conference, NRF, doing a few
Galactic
things.
Retail Federation.
Galactic Retail Federation. The yes, the Galactic Federation. So I was in New York goofing off and did not do Mandatory Fun Night. In fact, I didn't do much SWTOR at all. It was pretty busy out there. Although I could have because I had my Surface Book, but I ended up not. But I did get back in time to do some stuff. Still did our Ops Night. Still did some things over the weekend. A little bit of PvP. In fact, I did a very interesting thing over the weekend, which prompted what we're going to talk about tonight. I did jump in on a player-made event and got to spectate at least for quite a while on Saturday night. So
Yeah, I can't
we'll
wait to
talk
hear
about
about that. It sounds like a fun deal.
Absolutely. But I think, yeah, other than that, it felt like I did do most of the usual things, but it felt like I didn't play very much. But I think mostly because I was gone for that few days over the start of the week. Oh, and we didn't do the podcast live because I was also in New York.
That's right. That's
So
right. We did not.
it was
We
released
recorded it
mostly on
early
time. Yeah, exactly. That made
because
it
we're just
feel
that
like,
kind of overachiever.
yes, still got it out there. But that was my work news. What's going on in SWTOR news?
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
I did see a blog post up for the Eternal Championship. It's not coming out until March. I think March is when they're going to release it at this point, because it's not coming with Chapter 10, which was where they hoped it was going to be. It's going to be in Chapter 11 at this point. But they did have that quite a bit of detail in that blog post about how it's going to work, where the rewards are going to happen, what happens at Boss 5, Boss 7, and Boss 10. And it seems interesting, mildly, to me. You know, as an experienced player, as a player who is in the end game and does a lot of operations and things like that, I find the rewards slightly lackluster, I would say. The idea of static gear, which means non-moddable gear, that goes up to like 208 and 216, sounds to me like vendor trash. But but I know a lot of people who are playing can make use of it, and we know that because we have people who sell a lot of that kind of gear on the GTN. So I know it's out there and it's useful, but for me it's not going to be very interesting. I expect I will play it for a while just to get Bodar and maybe that little pet and mount that'll be dropping, but I don't know. What are you thinking, Seema?
Well, I know they said they meant it to be, one way that you can gear up towards ops. So I wasn't expecting there to be gear, that if you already have ops gear, I didn't expect there to be gear here that would improve on that. But like I said last time, I'm not excited by the prospect of gear as a reward anyway, partially because I already have it, and partially because I mean that's what everything gives. So if they wanted to do something new, then give us more something else, pets, more mounts. Why is there one pet and one mount and then all this gear that you can find anywhere else?
Title. You can get a title.
Oh.
I
but yeah, I just
Right. What I wanted was if you do the hardest thing once a week, that you would get a ops token with a set bonus on it. And I don't even care if it would be 216 then. I need 220, 224. But even 216, I don't have my 6-piece bonus on my main, and I'm not even close on a lot of my alts. If I could start getting set bonus tokens, okay, that's mildly interesting. And I would do it then for the rewards in addition to the fun, which I'm hoping it'll be fun, and I expect to do it a couple times for fun, but the fun will wear out the first, after you do it like 10 times. So we shall see. But we've got a couple months or a month and a half till we get to see it. So we'll talk about it more when it actually comes out and we see what it's like. But they do seem to be changing some of their ideas as they're releasing some of this stuff. So maybe if we all complain enough, they'll up the rewards, because something else already changed this week, didn't it, Seema?
Yes, you're referring to the Nightmare loot. So Eric posted that they had been watching all the feedback about the thing about Nightmare Ops not reliably dropping 224 gear. Instead, it had a chance of dropping, as opposed to the Focus Hard mode each week, which had a guaranteed drop of 224. And everyone was like, oh no, but Nightmare should always get more higher gear than any version of Hard mode. So they changed it so that 224 gear will be a guaranteed drop on the final boss of the ops, and that's going to go in 4.1 release. But then they decided further to change it so that all the bosses in Nightmare mode ops will drop a 224 gear. That's going in 4.2. I mean, they couldn't get it into 4.1 because once they decided to make that change, they hadn't left themselves enough time to test it and make sure it's
and not end up with unlimited 224 gear dropping all over the place and whatever else would have happened without testing it.
Yeah.
Yes,
right.
Exactly. So I'm all for testing. That's always good.
Yeah.
And I think this was the right move. And I will say, if you go back a few episodes when they first made the announcement that they were looking at the whole thing, we called it that the right thing to do would just be to have 224 drop for Nightmare all the time.
Yeah, we felt that they would change it.
So I think maybe they just got around to listening to that episode of ours. I'm sure that's what happened.
I agree. That must be what happened.
And that's about it for official news. We did get to see the Rackle this week.
Fresh ragu, mate. I mean, I hope not. I hope you don't. You know.
You know.
You know. So hopefully anyone who needed Loken was able to finish that up this week. Get some kills in on the Eyeless, which we did in story and hard mode. And the hard mode was not too hard in our 220 gear, but we had to do it a couple tries because you can't stand in the purple circles. And
I know we had to do it a couple times because I could not get out of the purple circle.
yeah, I don't know.
I just had a hard night. It was a hard night. What can I say?
It was a hard day's night. And so that was fun. Look at this astromech driving by on our video. But we do see that the bounty contract week is starting this week. And so we'll get another one of those. And then they're going to continue to do round robin on the events in the next couple months as well. So I'm glad they're keeping them up. We need them for a few different things. So good thing that they're around. In guild and community news, AIE in SWTOR had its 4th anniversary in December. We're finally getting around to having our guild party on January 26th, which is probably the day you're listening to this this is when the podcast is getting released. So if you listen to it right away, then you should get over to the to the guild ship where we're going to kick things off at our normal mandatory fun night time. We're having a little in-game event of our own. We do these from time to time for our guild, and it was another part of the reason we're going to talk about player-made events tonight. We'll talk about the kind of events that we had, but we're going to have another one of those, and then we're also going to have some fun in just checking out strongholds, and we tend to give out little presents on our anniversary parties. And we're using dubtrack.fm. Did we talk about this last week? I think we might have.
Yeah.
But
Just noted that it was we're officially using it now for
Yeah.
MFN.
yeah, so for the couple people that were asking, what do you use instead of Plug DJ? Because that went away after turntable.fm went away. So
Yeah.
the new turntable Plug DJ alternative is dubtrack.fm, dubtrack dot something.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Dubtrack.fm. So that's what we're using. And I've figured out how to do all the playlists and everything. So I've got a bunch of playlists now, and it works. I can do everything that I could do with Plug DJ, which I didn't think I could when we first looked at Dubtrack. So either they added it in, or we could always do it, and I was just dumb.
And I'm thinking that Dubtrack may be able to be in there for the long haul because they probably don't have as much overhead as others because they had to, have the avatars and they had the database of coins and buying things with them and all that stuff. So I don't know. Not a lot to break, in other words.
And then I think, well, you told them that you would talk about it on the podcast, so you talk about the next one.
Right. So
I would too.
there's a possibility that there's going to be a weekend ops team forming in our guild on Jedi Covenant. So they're in talks about forming up now. It's either going to be Friday night or Saturday night. They'll be starting out with story modes. So basically the best thing to do is head on over to the forums, and we have a sub-forum for operations and flashpoints. And so in there you'll find a post about a weekend ops team forming, and just, log in, post I'm in if you want to do ops on Friday or Saturday night. They haven't decided which night yet.
Yep. Sounds good. I put myself down as an alt. I won't be able to be in there on the weekends on a regular basis, but probably every other. I could definitely be ready to go on standby and jump in. To everyone not yet in Alea Iacta Est, what are you waiting for? No. Our guild is always looking for new members on Jedi Covenant. Our parent community, Alea Iacta Est, is one of those large, family-friendly, multi-game groups. We have a solid guild in SWTOR on both the Republic and Imperial sides. Guild info is on aie-guild.org, and you can catch officers in-game with a /cjoin AIE LFO. And if you can't find an officer because you're looking for one, and I know this happened on the Republic side this week, because we tend to play more on the Imperial side than we do on the Republic, you can also tweet Seema or I or any of the other officers, or you can check on the Imperial side and try to get somebody to jump over for you. And also, thank you to the chat room. We got a bunch of people in there tonight, and it is great chatting with you guys. I hope we get any ideas as we go through this segment for what you guys are doing in player events. That's one of the things that we look for the chat room to contribute to. And I will be chatting with you guys after the show. But with that, I heard there was at least one of the RP events called a nightlife event, so I just figured we would play this. Now on my Hollow Xanth, that's what I was playing. So there's a whole series of player-made events. I jumped on the server on Saturday, and a player who knew me whispered me as soon as I jumped on and said, "Hey, do you want to jump in my stronghold here? I'm holding a 1v1 PvP tournament." And I dropped in there, and there was probably 25, 30 people there on Jedi Covenant in this stronghold. He had an arena set up. It was in the Tatooine stronghold, and it was just that as soon as you look off the balcony, the first the pit area right by the hangar door, he had a sort of a 1v1 arena set up, and he had brackets, and people were doing 1v1 PvP, and it went well. They had 2 rounds of PvP. They had two brackets, 2 categories, stealth and non-stealth. I guess especially in 1v1 when you're dueling someone, the stealth characters have a strong advantage because they always get the opening. So they had a stealth category and a non-stealth, and I see this in other PvP tournaments as well. But it was fun. In fact, I've got some pictures I'll show. But that was the impetus for having this topic. I wanted to talk about that in particular because I also know that he's going to be conducting more of those monthly. And I started looking, and especially on Saturday this past week, and not only on Jedi Covenant, there was a couple PvP tournaments on Jedi Covenant, and there were player-made events on a bunch of servers. And then I started looking through the server forums and some external forums and Reddit, and there's a lot of player-made event content going on. I thought it'd be a great opportunity for us to talk through some of those. Now
So when you say 1v1 PvP, were they using /duel to get it started?
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
you'd start it with a duel, and if it was same faction, then it was just duel, and then if it was 2 different, people didn't end up dead, but because you're in the stronghold, you just res and come right back down the elevator. But it went pretty well, and I've seen multiples of these, and we'll talk about another one when we get to that too. Snave, who's a popular podcaster and streamer, has a really nice PvP event, and I'll show some of that too. But there's other stuff. So we've done what? Why don't you walk through just to kick it off some of the player-made events that we've had for the guild, Seema? If I could put you on the spot.
Well, we've done every year. We do this anniversary, and then in the summer we do Summer of Love. So we've had a number of different events of all sizes leading up to the biggest one, which Pellel did and ran for 2 years, which was the Amazing Race, which was a multi-day, really big event. But for instance, an example of a small event that Pell also did was we went to Hoth, and we had a contest, and it was called Pancake.
Making
Yeah,
pancakes.
we did the Amazing Race, yeah. And the pancake one was we found this ice bridge, and then Pellel went into the crevice at the bottom, and we had to jump off the ice bridge to our deaths, and the one who landed the closest to Pell won the contest. And for such a simple idea, it was insanely fun.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was great. And then of course we've done The Amazing Race twice. I
Right.
think we've done it twice, and there's plans for future ones as well. But that was a multi-week event.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not the only
It sure
ones that do
was.
the multi-week events. But that one was a multi-week event. Each week was a different set of challenges, and it was modeled after the TV show The Amazing Race, where the points accumulated throughout the 4 weeks that it was held, and there were prizes within the week, and then a big prize at the end for whoever had the most points. That was a pretty amazing event that Pell put together multiple times, and we've
Yeah,
talked about.
it really was.
I think we've done a whole podcast on it, haven't we? I think back in the day you could probably look it
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
But some of the other ones I found were this one. This was some swoop races on what server was this? Young Ma, I think.
Yes, I think that. Looking at your notes, yeah.
So I don't know if and I've heard people ask for this to be built into the game officially, but apparently they set up a course and get on some speeders and have judges, and they do a lot. They record it to make sure nobody's cutting the course and review it officially, and then they have a bunch of prizes. And their prizes, first place grand prize is 1,000,000 credits. Second place is 500K, and third place is 150,000 credits. And a consolation prize. There's a raffle apparently, but they do 4 laps around a track. That sounds pretty fun. I think I've done that kind of thing in WoW before, but I've not yet done it in Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, just listening to you talk about this one, that's a lot of work to put together something like that. So, yeah, people should appreciate that
So
in my book.
yeah, so there's that kind of thing, which is sort of an amazing race or pod races like this. I also saw some other. We'll get into the RP ones, but some like scavenger hunt and bounty hunting and come find me type of events. But a big class of events that is what I started seeing on that reminded me on Saturday is these PvP events. So the one that I got into on Saturday on Jedi Covenant was a player named let me get it right so that, and I'll put the links to all of this in the show notes as well, to the things that we're going to talk about tonight. But it was I'm gonna have to edit this. What was the name? Where did I put the thing? And the thing and the thing. There's Snaves. Did I cut that link out?
Uh, yes, I think you did, because this looks pretty edited from the first time I saw this.
All right. Hold on just a sec, and I will find it for real. And it was Concealified. Okay. Concealified. So the character's name is Concealified, and concealified.engine.com is where he posted the details. And I think he also posted it on Reddit. And he's doing these monthly, where he's doing the 1v1 tournament. And it was, as I said, it was well run. It was pretty fun. Players seemed to have a lot of fun. I took a bunch of pictures. I can show you a couple more here. It was a bunch of people lined up around the top to sort of watch as the players fought down below, and you could see who was doing what. Seemed like a lot of juggernauts were winning. So I don't know if that's one of in the non-stealth category. I don't know if that's one of the hot classes. But this guy Mathcore on Jedi Covenant, who I think is in LD50, was the overall winner on the non-stealth category, and Bacon Cat was second. But you should keep an eye out for those kind of things. And these kind of events tend to get posted in the official forums, in on the server forums or on the community events or both. They also tend to show up on Reddit, and then they'll show up in individual guild forums and sometimes on Twitter as well. So you sometimes need to seek them out and keep an eye out, but if you're watching closely to those locations and find one, then you can track it and find out when they're going to do it again pretty easily.
Right. Right.
So I did
So
not.
it was like random
What's
that
that?
you found out about it, but other
Yeah.
people might have known through the forums and having gone before, now they know to look for it. And
Right.
yeah, I mean, that's really good attendance.
I did not participate. I wasn't in the event, but there was a lot of dueling on the sides, and I didn't challenge anyone else, but I got challenged probably about 4 times by by these guys like Mathcore, who pretty much destroyed me.
I mean, actual PvP players.
Yes, actual PvPers. And if you're going to do dueling tournaments, if you're going to do 1v1s, you may even have a separate set of talents and a slightly different build
Oh, I would imagine, yeah.
than you would even for 4v4 or 8v8. I would have changed up. At first I was on my mercenary when I came to watch, and my mercenary can't hold up against anybody doing 1v1. Then I got on my Sork, and my Sork came close. My Sork was, I lost the few times that I got dueled on my Sork, but I held up pretty well and did a bunch of damage and got close. So I don't know if I would join or participate, but I do like watching these things.
Yeah, I can see that.
The other one that I really liked watching was Snave. So Snave did this similar kind of tournament, and he did his in a stronghold as well. He did it on the Nar Shaddaa stronghold, on the ship platform that as you look out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he set up a dueling arena there. Everyone had to stand up on the balcony that was just going to be watching, except for him. And he was down on the platform because he was streaming and commenting. And so I didn't see it live in the game. Because I don't. It wasn't even on a U.S. server at the time, but I did see it as he was streaming it, and it was very entertaining. Because not only are you getting to see the PvP tournament with some really good PvPers, but Snave is very entertaining to listen to and a good commenter, and it was at the level of nearly I would
Like an esports.
yeah, like an esport. I mean, he really did
yeah.
it well.
I totally want to see that. I'm going to check it out.
He is bringing it to the U.S. So I've got the link in, and I'll put this in the show notes as well. He calls it the URC tournament. I forgot what that stands for. It's like the Ultimate Registrar Championship tournament. But the next one it's finally coming to the U.S. on Saturday, February 20th. So you can sign up and you can get in on that one. It will be on one of the servers in the U.S. It looks like it's going to be guess I should have had this.
Regstar.
What's that?
Regstar. I thought you were saying registrar, like at a school.
Regstars? Ultimate Regstar. Yeah, I did say registrar.
Regstars and stripes.
Regstar Championship.
But see, this is another thing that looks very, a lot of work went into it. This looks awesome.
It does look like a lot of work went into it, including a trailer for the event that you can look up on YouTube, and I'll have a link to in the show notes as well. So the trailer has clips from the previous tournament and talks about the next one. So check that out if you want to see what that sort of looks like. It's pretty entertaining.
Crazy. Yeah.
So would you jump in a PvP tournament, Seema?
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
But I could watch one and enjoy it, I'm sure. And learn from it too, especially like I'm really attracted by what you said about Stave commentating it because yeah, I totally think you'd get more out of it with an experienced guy like him actually narrating what's going on in the fight as well.
And he often streams PvP, so
Yes.
and talks over PvP while he's streaming it, and he'll stream watching other people PvP, not even PvPing himself. So he's very used to calling it out and doing that kind of thing. So it does work out really well. Um, what else? So there's the PvP ones, which are pretty cool, and then there's a whole class of RP that I started looking into. And once I started looking into that, that was a whole rabbit hole that I had no idea existed. But
Yes.
you've looked at it a little bit before because you had this on our list to sort of look into and maybe
Right.
take a look at it at some point.
Yeah, because I was kind of amazed at yeah, what's out there. And yeah, there's a lot going on, but
So was there something in
this
particular that you wanted that that you had always wanted to check out in the RP community in terms of events?
well, actually, I would have done some research if I known I was getting that question. But yes, there was a this happens on Ebon Hawk and I think probably other servers too. But there's a group of people who do DJ duties, so you can actually
Oh,
go
right.
online to their site, which I would have a link to and everything if I would have planned ahead. Um, but you can listen to the music, and I guess everyone can listen to that music, and then the one person is the DJ for the night, and then there's like it's like a dance party and a social party and everything else. I don't quite understand how it works, which is kind of why we kind of wanted to go check it out one night before you know trying to say anything about it. But yeah, I'll try and find the link to that site while we're
And I just meant more
discussing
in
this.
general, like, are you really into you want to dress up and go to a dance party and you just wished you had some outlet for that in game?
I actually never have had the pull to do that, but I'm curious because I see now that I see how much of it is out there, how popular it is, how much people put into it, and how much they get out of it. So it's like maybe I'm missing out.
Yeah. So rjar75 in the chat room mentions that radio-free.org is the site
Yes,
where they
yes,
do
that's what it
the
was. Thank you.
DJing. So when I started looking at this, I first looked in server forums, and then I looked on a couple of the RP servers, and I looked in the role playing forums and under community. The Ebon Hawk server seems to be a congregation point for a lot of the RPing community, and in fact, they have a whole separate set of forums, separate from the official forums, that are dedicated to Ebon Hawk as a community. And if you go to their site, which is ebhawk.engine.com, you can see all of their upcoming events and a whole forum dedicated to upcoming events. And I could not believe how many events that they sort of had in January and how many upcoming events in February. It's a very active community from what it looks like, and a lot of different kinds of events. So I noticed in there they recently had an RP themed casino dance social party this past weekend called Everlasting Night, because they like the nightlife apparently. They love to boogie.
Please don't play that again.
These are some pictures that they posted on their site. They had a stronghold. Somebody took one of their strongholds and decked it out as a casino, and then gave it a whole backstory of what the deal it was with this casino, why it was set up the way it was, what its purpose was, what people used it for, that kind of thing. And they had the gaming tables and a bunch of people hanging around those, hanging around the bars. There was a dance floor, people dancing. So they have all these pictures of relatively big group that went and hung out and was a part of this thing, all dressed up. It looks pretty involved. So
I think I know what those people are talking about in the corner there. They're saying, "Can you believe all those people whining about no ops when they could be making their own content like we do?"
Yes. Well, that's sort of a good point, right?
Yeah,
And that
yeah,
that we've talked about is the more opportunity there is in a game for people to create their own content, the the more dynamic the game can be and feel, and the more alive it can be without the developers actually having to create a whole bunch more content.
yeah.
So I know there's a couple MMOs where the role playing is very in depth and much more extreme than in Star Wars. And I think within those communities they could care less whether or not the new operation or the new raid comes out. It's it's all the events, and they want the new costumes and things to come out, but besides that, it's they're making their own content. It reminds me of Lord of the Rings, when we have a a part of our guild that's in Lord of the Rings and is not very active, but every once in a while we go back in, and I go in, and a group of us go in for the band.
Right.
Because there's a music subsystem in Lord of the Rings where you can, it's sort of like MIDI files. You can upload MIDI files for your character to play on an instrument, and different instruments sound different when you upload the MIDI files. And you can synchronize your MIDI file with the rest of your band's MIDI files and have them all play at the same time, so that you can play multiple parts to a song. And people have encoded a bunch of like pop music and classic rock and
Yeah, it's tons of fun. I go over there and listen to you guys play sometimes.
And when we were doing it, the last time we did it, it was during an actual RP concert, in the sort of like concert in the park that was going on. And someone from that RP community, we were playing over on another stage, just hanging out. We played our own little side concert for half an hour.
Uh-huh.
Um, Someone from that RP community came and scouted us, and in character, and ended up out of character after the fact, wanting us to come sort of join the regular RP weekly event that they had as a band, because we stuck in character when we were there. I play a dwarf. It's like I kept using dwarf terminology. Ah, you wee lass, and whatnot. But yeah, it was pretty fun. So I can see the appeal, and I do like that idea of creating your own content. And it just seems very in depth the way some of this is going. So that casino, the casino nights, the dance nights seem to be one thing. The music and music nights seem to be sort of another thing. There were some other. I've got here another example of. I think this one's coming up. It's a ball. So again, people, they dress up and there's dancing and there's music and that kind of thing. Sort of like, and there's costume balls that people go on. This was one that happened in January, and people dressed up for the holiday, or maybe it was December. It was a holiday one, and people dressed up in formal wear. You can see they're all wearing, most of them are in like formal dress. But there's a whole nother class of interesting RP events that I found that are focused on ongoing story. And in those ones, I noticed there's one going on right now, which is within the context of Knights of the Fallen Empire, and they're on about their fourth week of evolving story, where a Jedi Council at the start got together and said, and their RP for the night was basically they're going to get together on on Korriban. No, not on Korriban. Where do the Jedis live?
Coruscant?
No,
Coruscant?
not Coruscant. The Jedi Temple.
Oh, you mean this Tython?
Tython. Where do the Jedis live? I don't know. Jedis are all dead, aren't they? So they're going to get together on Tython, and they're going to have a conference to sort of try to figure out what is their new place in the galaxy. They've been under assault. They've been sort of scattered into the winds. What are they going to do? And they're going to spin up some activities that they're going to try to go after. And endpoint to go after Zakul and assault the Star Fortresses for one. But for two, it seemed like they were involving other subgroups that had to do recon on Zakul and recon on the Star Fortresses. And I didn't get all of the details, but it seemed like the results and the outcomes of each night are what fed into what the story was going to be for the following week. So it got very, very involved and very deep in reading through those threads. So I was interested to see that kind of thing and get further into that too. How about you, Seema? Did you do are these the kinds of things that that you would expect to go get involved in, just like the dance party masquerade stuff, or is there like RP story that you need to have told
I
about
admit
your
to a
bounty hunter?
certain curiosity. I would like to know the story that of this evolving story and the sections of it and how it concludes and all that stuff. I don't know if I want to play in it because I don't feel confident about that. I don't have a backstory. I don't really want a backstory for my characters. So I don't know if I may be missing that particular RPG. But I like dancing and music.
So there's that.
Yeah.
So what I thought was we should put the challenge out there tonight to the
Yeah.
community. We need maybe sometime in the next month, we need somebody who's deep into the RP community. And if it's on Ebb and Hawk, that's fine with me too. But we need somebody to take Seema and I down that rabbit hole. and,
Yeah.
and you tell us
How
what we
do
need to
you
do.
roleplay?
And if I need to create a backstory, I'll create a backstory. All my characters sort of have a little bit of a backstory anyway. My bounty hunter
I know
here
they
is brother to the trooper on the other my other main.
Oh, blue and gray.
And yeah, they're both part of the Gray legacy. They both were attacked by Rancor, by a Rancor, and they fought a Rancor when they were teenagers. And the bounty hunter was damaged enough that he couldn't become a Republic trooper, and that's why he's a bounty hunter. He's sort of freelance. But they're both good guys. They're both light side. So I got a little bit of backstory I can tell.
Were they orphans?
Good question. I don't know. That so I guess there's some holes in my story. You found me out. No, comrade. There is to be giving me your state secrets. I'm.
I haven't thought about this in a long time, but there is that panel where you can connect all your characters and say what their relationships are. So from the beginning, there has been that sort of what's your story aspect to this game.
Yeah, I never went too far in that. In fact, I guess I
Because
have
they
nothing
didn't
in
all
it
fit,
now.
but yeah.
And I took it apart at some point. But yeah, there's that. So you could have made that sort of family tree.
There you go, family tree, yeah.
But after those two main ones, the story really tends to diverge. Because what I like to do with my characters in general is I like to switch them up across races and things like that. And then it's really hard to say it's one big family when every single character is a different race.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
Wonder how that works. But yeah, so challenges out there. Someone who's deep into the RP and has the RP credentials to get us into it. Let us know and tell us what we need to do and take us there,
That's quite
take us
the
down that
challenge.
rabbit hole,
Yeah.
and we will rise to that challenge. Anything else you want to throw out there, Seema, that in particular you want people to show us in the RP community?
I just noticed that in chat, Martin Caldwell says that he uses that family tree for all his tunes. So and I know people who have thought it through, like my operative went through this and related to my Sith Inquisitor in this way, and they were separated, and that's why the Inquisitor had to go into slavery or, whatever. Yeah. I've just never really... In fact, when I first started gaming, I played a MUD, and that MUD had pretty strict role-playing rules. And when I started playing MMOs, I was so relieved that that was all relaxed. And you could just talk in regular language. And you could mention things like football if you wanted to. Not that I wanted to talk about football, but nobody would gasp at you if you said, like in this mud, if you said, how about those Packers? Then everyone would say, what are these Packers you speak of? Are they sausage makers? And they pack it, and like, but
So did you
yeah,
have like
so.
stock phrases that you had back in the day that you can pull out for?
Well, like you couldn't say, I'm selling this sword is like +1 agility. You'd have to say, I'm selling a sword that would make you more dexterous in your fighting efforts. Um, so anyway, maybe I was emotionally scarred by that at an early time, and maybe a person who knows what role playing is really like could educate me.
Yes, you'll have to bring Seema back into the fold. So the challenge is out there. Let us know, and we will follow you down that rabbit hole. But with that, I think our EPC 127 can debark on a great adventure into the galaxy and his solo mission to spread the podcast to all of our friends and yeah, whatnot
Yeah, we need help.
and whatnot. like like
I
hail
don't think I'm
and
smart enough to RP.
well met there, dude. Okay. So thanks to all of you for joining us on newoverlords.com, iTunes, YouTube, or live here on Twitch. We will stream again next Monday night on twitch.tv/newoverlords around 10:30 p.m. Central. Please follow us on Twitter at Max the Gray and at AIESEMA, and find us on Jedi Covenant and demand from us an invite to our community of friends as we assault the galaxy.
Like-minded people.
And we shall see you soon. See you soon.
Fare thee well, my friends.